Stop trying to figure out if he likes you based on what he says. Words are the one thing a guy can easily fake. He can say every right thing and feel absolutely nothing behind it. But there is one signal he sends when he is genuinely starting to fall for you, and he cannot fake that one, not even a little. Once you know what it looks like, you will never have to guess about a guy again. You will never have to sit there replaying a conversation in your head wondering what he actually meant. You will never have to call your friends asking if they think he is into you. You will just know, because this signal does not lie and he cannot hide it, even if he tries to. Now, before I show you exactly what this signal is, I want you to think about something for just a moment. Think about the last time you were genuinely confused about a guy. Maybe things felt really good between the two of you. Maybe the conversations were easy and fun, and you walked away feeling like something real was there. And then you got home and the doubt started creeping in slowly. You started thinking, okay, but does he actually like me? Or is he just like this with everyone? Maybe you checked your phone more than usual that night. Maybe you talked yourself into feeling confident about it and then talked yourself right back out of it an hour later. Maybe you asked a friend and she said something like, just wait and see, which honestly made you feel worse, not better. That cycle is exhausting. And the worst part is it is completely unnecessary because the answer was already right there in front of you the whole time. You just did not know what you were looking at. And that is not your fault at all. Nobody teaches women how to actually read what a man is showing them through his actions. So most women spend all their time focused on entirely the wrong things. Stay with me here, because this next part is where everything starts to shift. Most women focus on what he says. They focus on how often he texts. They focus on whether he called when he said he would. And all of that can feel meaningful in the moment, but none of it actually tells you what is going on inside him. Here is why. A guy can text you every single day and not be falling for you at all. A guy can call when he says he will simply because he is a reliable person, not because you are someone special to him. A guy can be warm and funny and charming in conversation because that is just his natural personality. None of those things by themselves actually mean anything real. They feel like signs. They look like signs, but they are not the signal. There is a very important difference between signs and the signal. Signs are scattered. Signs can mean 100 different things depending on the person. But the signal is specific. The signal means one thing only, and when you see it, there is no other explanation for it. If you have ever felt confused about a guy, even when things seem to be going well, stay right here, because you are definitely not alone in this. Have you ever noticed that some women just never seem confused about where they stand with a guy? Like they carry this calm about them when it comes to dating. They do not spiral. They do not overthink everything. They are not constantly wondering if he likes them or not. And you might have thought, oh, she is just lucky, or he makes it really obvious with her. But that is not actually what is going on at all. Those women are not luckier than you. They just see something you have not been shown yet. They know exactly what to look for. And because they know, they feel calm. They feel sure. They do not need him to say a single word because they can already see it in what he does. That is exactly where you are going to be after today, because what you are about to learn changes everything, not in a dramatic or complicated way, just in that quiet way where something finally clicks and you wonder how you ever missed it before. So let us talk about what most women actually pay attention to when they are trying to figure out if a guy is into them. The first thing most women do is analyze his texts. How fast did he reply? Did he ask a question back or just send a one-word answer? Did he use an emoji or not? Did the conversation feel warm or kind of flat and cold? And I get it completely. Texting is where a lot of modern connection happens, so it makes sense that you would look there. But here is the problem with reading too much into texts. Some guys are genuinely terrible at texting. Some guys are incredible texters with people they have zero romantic interest in. And some guys who are actually falling for someone will go quiet for a day or two because they are in their own head about it. Texting tells you almost nothing about what is actually happening inside his heart. The second thing women focus on is whether he makes plans. Does he follow through? Does he suggest doing things together? and again, this can mean something, but it can also just mean he simply enjoys your company the same way he enjoys spending time with his close friends. A guy can make consistent plans with you and still not be falling for you at all. Making plans is not the signal. And then there are compliments. Women listen really carefully to what a guy says about them. Did he say you looked amazing? Did he say you were funny? Compliments are the easiest thing in the world to give. Anyone can do it. They are not the signal either. Now here is the part most people get completely wrong. Eye contact. Women often feel like if a guy holds strong eye contact, something deep must be happening between them. And sometimes it does mean something real. But some people just naturally hold strong eye contact because they are confident or because they are naturally good listeners. Eye contact alone will never tell you if a guy is genuinely falling for you. Here is the truth about all of these things. They are all surface level. They feel meaningful, but they can each be explained away by 100 other perfectly normal reasons. They are all things a guy can do without even thinking about you in a romantic way. And as long as you are focused on these things, you are going to keep feeling confused because none of them are the signal. The real signal is something completely different. It does not come from what he says. It does not come from how often he reaches out. It comes from something he does that he is not even consciously aware of himself. Something that happens quietly and naturally when his feelings genuinely start to shift. And that is exactly why it is so completely reliable. Because it is not something he is performing for you. It is not something he decided to do to impress you. It just happens on its own automatically, like his whole system gives it away before his brain even catches up. And that signal is this: when a man starts falling for you, he starts making your problems his problems, not in a dramatic over-the-top way. Not in a way where he is suddenly trying to fix every single thing in your life. Just in small, quiet ways that show he is thinking about you even when you are not around him. He remembers the little thing you mentioned last week that was stressing you out. He checks in about it later, not because you asked him to, just because it stayed with him, because you stayed with him. And that right there is the real difference between a guy who is simply enjoying your company and a guy who is actually starting to fall for you. Let me explain exactly why this matters so much. When a guy is just casually interested in someone, he is present when you are together, and then he kind of moves on with his life when you are apart. His world does not really expand to include yours. He likes spending time with you, but you are not taking up any real space in his mind when you are not there. That is just casual interest. That is a guy who enjoys you, but is not falling for you yet. But when something starts to shift inside him, when those real feelings begin to grow, something genuinely changes in how he thinks about you. You stop being just a fun part of his present moment, and you start becoming someone he carries around with him everywhere he goes. He hears a song and immediately thinks of you. He sees something funny, and his first instinct is to show you. He remembers you had a hard day, and he actually wonders how it turned out for you. And that wondering, that carrying you around in the back of his mind without even realizing it, that is what starts showing up directly in his behavior. That is what produces the signal. And the signal itself looks like this in real life. He brings up something you told him a while ago, something small, something you probably forgot you even mentioned in passing, and he asks about it genuinely, not as a casual conversation starter, not to seem like a thoughtful listener. He asks because he actually thought about it on his own after you told him. That is the signal right there. That is him showing you without saying a single word that you are living inside his head even when you are not in the room with him. Think about how completely different that is from a simple compliment. A compliment takes 2 seconds and anyone can give one without thinking. But remembering something small and personal that you shared and then actually coming back later to check on it, that takes real attention and real care. And guys do not do that for people they are just casually spending time with. They do it when something real is happening inside them. Now here is the surprising part about this signal. It can feel so small and so ordinary in the moment that most women completely brush right past it without noticing. He says something like, "Hey, did that situation with your friend ever work out?" And you say, yeah, it was fine, and you move on. And you never stop to realize what just happened in that moment. He remembered something you told him days ago. He thought about it completely on his own time, and he cared enough to actually ask about it. That is not a small thing. That is actually everything. That is a man whose world is quietly beginning to expand to include yours. And once you start seeing it for exactly what it is, you will start noticing it more and more, because it does not show up just once. When a guy is genuinely falling for you, this pattern repeats itself naturally over and over again in small ways. He remembers your coffee order without you telling him again. He remembers you said you were nervous about something at work. He remembers you mentioned a movie you wanted to see. And he brings these things up not all at once, not in a way that feels like he is trying to prove something or show off. Just naturally, casually. Like of course he remembered. Like why would he not? Because to him, paying close attention to you has become something he just does automatically without even thinking about it anymore. Now, I want to make sure you understand the difference between this and a guy who is simply trying to impress you, because that distinction is really important. A guy who is performing for you will make a noticeable show of remembering things. He will bring it up in a way that feels slightly too deliberate, a little too look at me and how well I listen. It will feel almost staged, like he is checking a box on a list. But a guy who is genuinely falling for you does not bring it up to impress you at all. He brings it up because it came out naturally, because you came to mind, and he simply followed that feeling without overthinking it. There is a softness to it, a casualness to it, and when you feel that real difference, you will know exactly which one you are dealing with. So let us talk about some of the other ways this same signal shows up in real everyday life, because it is not always about remembering specific things you said. Sometimes it shows up as him noticing small changes in your mood. He says you seem a little quiet today. Is everything okay? He did not have to say that. You were not asking for it. But he noticed because he was paying close enough attention to pick up on the fact that something felt slightly different about you. That is the signal again showing up in a different form. That is him being so tuned into you that he catches things most people would walk right past without a second thought. Sometimes it shows up as him thinking ahead for you without being asked. He sees something and immediately thinks she would absolutely love that. He finds out about something happening nearby and thinks she would definitely want to know about this. He is not waiting for you to ask him for anything. He is already anticipating what would bring you happiness, because thinking about what makes you happy has become something he just naturally does now. And when you are on the receiving end of that kind of attention, it feels genuinely incredible. It feels like being truly seen by someone. Because you are. Sometimes it shows up as a quiet kind of protectiveness, not in a controlling or overbearing way, just in a calm, steady, I have got you kind of way. He makes sure you got home safely. He remembers you said you do not like walking alone at night, and without making a single big deal of it, he just makes sure that does not happen when you are with him. Little things, thoughtful things, things that show he is thinking about your comfort and your safety, not because he has to, but because he genuinely wants to. All of these are the exact same signal showing up in different forms at different moments. They are all different versions of the same deep truth. He is carrying you around with him. You are in his thoughts when you are not in the room. And every small thoughtful thing he does, every moment where he shows you he was listening, every time he checks in about something you mentioned, that is him falling for you. That is the signal in action. Now here is where a lot of women make a very common mistake, and I really want you to pay close attention to this part, because this is where things can quietly go wrong even when everything is going right. When you start seeing these signals and you start realizing that he really is falling for you, the natural temptation is to immediately go all in. You get excited and suddenly you are texting more, you are more available, you are more of everything at once. And while there is nothing wrong with showing that you are interested, there is something really important you need to understand here. The signal is showing you that his feelings are growing at his own pace. Your job is not to suddenly become overwhelming with yours all at once. Your job is to naturally match his energy in an easy and real way. Stay warm, stay open, but stay yourself, because here is what happens when you go all in too quickly. He was falling at his own comfortable pace. He was genuinely enjoying the process of getting to know you and feeling those feelings develop naturally over time. And when you suddenly shift into a completely different gear, it can throw the whole balance off. Not because you did anything wrong, but simply because the natural balance shifted too fast. The second mistake women make is they start looking for the signal so hard that they unknowingly create pressure around it. They start acting differently. They become hyper-aware of every single interaction, and he picks up on that shift in energy, even without being able to name it. He does not know exactly what changed, but he can feel that something is different and heavier than before. And that slight tension can make him pull back a little, not because his feelings changed at all, just because things suddenly feel heavier than they did before. So when you are watching for this signal, do it quietly and from a grounded place. See it for what it truly is and let it give you real confidence without letting it make you anxious or tense. The third mistake is expecting this signal to arrive on a specific timeline. Some guys start showing it early on. Some guys take much longer because they have been through real pain before, or because they simply move more slowly emotionally. And if you are waiting for it to show up by a certain point and it has not yet, you might start pulling back or acting from a place of insecurity when all you actually needed to do was give it a little more time and space. Every guy is different. The signal is universal. The timeline is not. And the fourth mistake, and this one is honestly the biggest one of all, is completely ignoring how you actually feel in return. You get so focused on figuring out if he is falling for you that you forget to check in with yourself entirely. Are you falling for him? Do you actually want this with him specifically? Does being around him genuinely feel good? Does he make you feel seen and comfortable and like yourself? Because his feelings matter absolutely, but yours matter just as much, if not more. Do not let his interest become the entire story you are telling yourself. Make sure your own real feelings get a seat at the table too. Now, let us talk about what happens when you get this right. When you see the signal clearly and you respond to it in a grounded and confident way, something genuinely beautiful starts to happen between the two of you. He feels safe. He feels like his growing feelings are landing somewhere real and good. He does not feel chased or pressured or tested in any way. He just feels like things are flowing naturally between two people who genuinely like each other for real reasons. And that feeling of safety is what makes him open up more and more. That safety is what turns those early falling feelings into something deeper and far more real over time. Because here is the honest truth about how men fall in love. They do not fall because a woman did everything perfectly every single time. They do not fall because she was always available or always said exactly the right thing or always looked her absolute best. They fall because being around her felt easy and real and natural, because she made them feel genuinely good about themselves, because they could be fully themselves without putting on a performance, because something about her stayed with them even when she was not there. And that staying with them, that is what you are seeing when the signal shows up. That is what it truly means at its core. He cannot stop thinking about you. And that is exactly where everything real begins. So from now on, stop counting his texts. Stop analyzing his words one by one. Stop trying to decode whether something he said meant everything or nothing at all. None of that is where the truth actually lives. The truth lives in what he remembers, in what he notices on his own, in whether you are living inside his head when you are not in the room, in whether he shows up for the small things without ever being asked. That is where you look from now on. That is the real signal, and now you know exactly what it looks like in real life. Once you truly see it, everything gets quiet inside you. The confusion fades away completely. The anxiety disappears. You stop needing him to say a single word because you can already see it clearly in everything he does around you. And that kind of real clarity, that changes how you show up in absolutely everything going forward. You stop chasing, you stop guessing, you stop shrinking yourself trying to figure out where you stand with him. You simply stand exactly where you are, fully confident and completely clear, because you already know the truth. And that version of you, the one who is calm and grounded and not running purely on anxiety and doubt, that is honestly the most genuinely attractive version of you there is. Not because you are playing any kind of game, not because you are holding anything back on purpose, but because you are truly and deeply secure in yourself. And that security is magnetic in the most natural way possible. It makes him want to be around you more. It makes him feel genuinely good when he is with you. And it makes those falling feelings grow faster and stronger than anything else ever could. That is the full picture. That is the signal. What it looks like, why it matters more than anything else, what to do when you see it, and what to avoid so you do not accidentally get in your own way. This was never complicated. It never had to be. You just needed someone to finally show you where to actually look.